If you don't believe in aliens, I'm gonna change your mind. Okay, I have some new information about the Varginha incident, okay? If you haven't seen my other video about the Varginha incident, go watch that to understand what I'm talking about. James Fox just dropped a documentary. I didn't realize it already dropped. I thought it dropped in January this year, but it dropped on the 22nd of December this past year. And it is an extension of the Moment of Contact documentary that he did. And this one is called Moment of Contact, New Revelations of Alien Encounters. This shit's crazy. I have some crazy shit in here. Not only do I have an extension of the Varginha incident, I also have some new cases that I have never heard of, actually. All right, so let's get started. The Varginha incident occurred in Varginha, Brazil in 1996, and there was a soldier named Marco Cherezi who restrained a being that ran in front of the vehicle that Eric Lopes was driving, and he ended up developing an infection and died within a couple weeks. So there were two men that conducted the autopsy on Marco named Dr. João Giannini and Dr. Armando. So Dr. Giannini was the founder of IPD Labs, and for the first time, he agreed to go on camera like 6 months ago. Now, he says he has done over 50,000 autopsies in his lifetime and over 1 million microscopic studies, that's a lot. And he says that he has never seen a case like this. From all the information that he gathered from Cherezi's case, he got a scratch from the ET, which I actually was unaware of the first time. I thought it was just from the contact, but I guess he got a scratch on his arm, which became infected and developed into an abscess. He performed tissue samples and said that he had never seen bacteria behave that way, never before and never after this case. He said this was the most resilient bacteria ever seen, ever, and it didn't react to any treatments. And he said it was resistant due to a biochemical advantage that resists antibiotics. Nothing could phase it, and it destroyed everything in the span of a week. So Dr. Armando, who also did the autopsy, like I said, he was the former municipal health secretary and the current forensic pathologist. He performed the microscopic autopsy on Marco Cherezi, and he said the bacteria found is a trace of the alien left behind, and that there is life of biomolecular evolution, which is the study of how DNA, RNA, and proteins change over evolutionary time, driven by mutation, selection, and drift, leading to new functions, gene origins, and the diversifications of life at the molecular level. It explains the origins of genes, adaptation, speciation, and the development of complex traits using molecular data like DNA sequences to reconstruct evolutionary histories and understand fundamental biological processes. Now we get into Dr. Italo Venturelli. He claims to have touched and telepathically communicated with a live alien being that was held in captivity by Brazilians that was later handed over to the US military. And this would be one of the beings that was captured during the Varginha incident. He is still the lead neurosurgeon at this hospital and the head surgeon that runs the entire department at the regional hospital. And he also says that he's willing to publicly testify and do a lie detector test. He had another neurosurgeon that he was teaching who did a small procedure on the creature since it was injured. He had a heart attack and died in 2018. Venturelli says that he has done more than 5,000 surgeries, and he also had a heart attack a few months ago, probably about 6 months ago at this point. He was in the ICU, and he thought he was dying, and he's thinking, why am I still taking this to the grave? Why am I still keeping this a secret? He says, if I survive this, I'm going public, and he's saying that everybody deserves to know what's going on. He said he didn't care what the consequences were, even though he said that he was threatened not to speak. He snuck James Fox and his crew into the exact ICU room where this alien was being kept. Now, the hospital staff caught what they were doing and kicked them out. Now, he still wanted to continue talking even after they were kicked out, and he knew he was potentially in trouble.
Ask him how it feels to be sharing this information after 29 years.
E como é que o senhor se sente de estar dividindo essa informação agora depois de... Feels like crying.
So his story was that he was told to go see a patient under the impression that it was a person, obviously, but it was not. He said that it was laying in the hospital bed, covered up. He said its head and eyes were both shaped like teardrops, and he said that it had white skin and red eyes. Now, this is showing discrepancies in descriptions of this alien, but they were talking about it could potentially be based on its environment or based on the heat or something like that. I don't know. He said that this being was smaller than us with the body of a 7-year-old kid. He said that he was conscious and very calm and tranquil and almost like it understood what he was thinking. And he said that he experienced telepathic communication with this being. He said that when he looked it in the eyes, there was communication, and he quoted that it was speaking without speaking, saying again that it was calm and relaxed and communicating that it was okay and that it received care. He said that he was in the room for 4 minutes and he stepped out to do something, and the Brazilian military burst in the room, took the being, and threatened everyone with secrecy and just left. Now, he described this being as a higher level of intelligence. Even though it was in captivity and it needed those doctors' help, it still had control of the room. He said it was like an angel, like nothing on earth. And he said, we have so much to learn from the eyes of that being. He said that he saw the immensity of the universe, that there must be many other worlds, and that this being was proof of it.
Você sobrevive. É diferente, nossa, não tem maldade. Não houve maldade nenhuma. É anjo, né?
Now, the former chief of police named Pedro Luis Aguiar, they had been trying to interview him for years, and they finally got to interview him in this documentary. Now, in this situation, he said that he had never seen that much brass at once. And this is the former chief of police, who are very involved with high-ranking officials. Obviously, I mean, he's high-ranking in the police force. He's, going to be involved with high-ranking military officials as well. He said that it was a big oval space full of brass, and at the back of ESA, there were helicopters going in and out, and he said that the general said it was a matter of national security. Of course, this is what fucking everybody's saying. And of course, the Brazilian government has persisted 30 years later. It is actually the 30-year anniversary of this incident this month. And they're still saying that the whole story is fiction. They've continued to dismiss claims and continued to classify events as routine exercises. They say the creature was likely a homeless man, and they say that military vehicles were for standard maintenance and not retrievals. If it was standard maintenance, they would not be shooing people away at fucking gunpoint. And then they were saying that the hospital aliens was a dwarfed couple seeking medical care. Right. And they were saying there was no type of anomalous alien-related bacteria within Sherezi's bloodstream. Now, James Fox says that he is in the process of contacting the lead general, and he says that there is a great likelihood of the government coming forward, and that there are senators reaching out for hearings in Brazil, and there are also efforts of meetings in the United States within the circle of doctors that were involved in this incident coming forward as well. And he says that there is a movement happening unlike anything that he has ever seen. And he has been a journalist around this topic for 30 years. And he also did not want to be associated with the Varginha case. He would go to Brazil and people would bring this case up and he'd be like, oh fuck, like not this shit again. And then he finally ended up getting into it, and he has continued going back and forth from Brazil ever since. He's been returning for 15 years. Of course, Congress still refuses to pass the Disclosure Act. And at this point, the president has the authority to pass this, and he will not do it. If there's nothing to hide, why are we not passing it? Why are we not letting these whistleblowers speak freely? And a lot of people also argue, if these are whistleblowers and they're coming forward about all this, why are they always saying, oh, that's something I can't say, or it's something I can't disclose in a public setting? They have no choice. They have no choice. Until this Disclosure Act is passed, they have no choice. They can speak freely about this in a SCIF, which stands for Sensitive Compartmented Information Facility. It's a highly secure, accredited room or area where extremely classified national security information can be stored, discussed, and processed without risk of eavesdropping or interception, ensuring only cleared individuals can access this information. Now, these whistleblowers also are obviously testifying under oath, and they're at risk for a penalty of perjury, which is a penalty for lying under oath or in a signed declaration. It's a serious felony, typically involving imprisonment for up to 5 years federally, and sometimes similar sentences up to the state level, plus large fines. They're risking a lot by coming forward, so there's only so much they can legally disclose without putting their lives at risk, their families' lives at risk, their reputation. There's so much that they have at risk here, and it's not that they're not releasing this information, they're just only releasing it to the people who are authorized to hear it, which is fucking stupid. But again, Trump is not signing this Disclosure Act, so there is nothing else that they can say in public view right now. So this is all the updates I have right now. Like I said, I'll do a separate video on the other things that came from that documentary, but all of this new information is pretty fucking crazy, and I have a lot of faith in James Fox when it comes to disclosure, and he's really trying hard to get this shit out to the public. So props to him. He's been doing this for a real long time, and shit, I would do literally anything to be in a room with James Fox for like an hour. I would do literally anything to talk to this man and just hear what he knows that he can't talk about in public. But as always, let me know what you guys think. This is just fucking insane, like hearing all of this new information.